Hello, my name is J. Robert Eckley. I'm a real estate attorney. I've been a real estate broker in the past. I've studied agency law. I've been in the middle of agency law as a practitioner, and I've also been a contractor. So I guess you could say I finally, I hope, have discovered what I want to be when I grow up. And that's turned out, I guess, to be an attorney so I could be here today and speak with you. Your agency instructor today has asked that I speak a little bit about the ADA and its compliance issues because it goes beyond the ADA. When I'm speaking about it today, I want to talk about general duties of health and safety owed to all third persons out there. So I want to try to at least give this impression, and that is that compliance with the ADA or being exempt from the ADA is not where your liability begins and ends. It is actually much more extensive than that. Let's start out with this proposition. Modern society has decided that you owe a duty to protect the health and safety of any and all invitees upon your premises, whether foreseeable or unforeseeable, and even including uninvited individuals who may meet your premises and go upon your premises, but who were anticipated as parties who might. This is such things as little children that may wander onto a site that is otherwise set up for adults. In other words, there's always going to be someone that's going to come upon your premises either permissively or impermissively, and even the impermissive is foreseeable who those might be. And we have to protect virtually all of those parties by putting in force situations and conditions and protections at site that do at least some minimum towards safety to protect even those who seem to be ignorant, but also who might be otherwise handicapped. And I don't just mean in a wheelchair or blind, but I also mean those who are just not cognizant by virtue of other shortcomings about just their general consciousness in coming to your premises. This could be people who are talking to others and looking the other way. These could be people who are seated someplace and really would not have some reason to believe that there might be any health or safety issue around them. This could be the kids from next door who wander continuous across the back of the property, and they're not invitees, but you know that they're coming from next door and they're wandering across the property. This could even be other parties coming upon, such as other licensees and customers, for a showing of your property. What steps have you taken to see to it that there are in place health and safety guards to look out for their best interests, and especially those that might be more discrete problems or risks that they wouldn't otherwise see? Yes, we even have a duty to protect against those. Now, knowing that we have a public duty that extends out that far, let's look then at the ADA. The ADA was only one of the rules out there that was established by our political system and our social system in order to try to protect those that are truly statutorily handicapped, the deaf, dumb, the blind, the halt, the aged, those who are otherwise impaired. Those folks had for many, many years essentially been deprived of a full and complete life because the accommodations out there to the places you or I might go every week, restaurants, hotels, areas of sports areas, coliseums, museums, were really not resilient enough to be able to make it conducive for them to come. They had steps, they had no railings, they had doors through which things like wheelchairs really couldn't enter. This was sort of an antisocial thing that went on for a long, long time. We had really just disregarded those who were less fortunate than we. And so the law was justly changed politically and socially at that point in time. But that doesn't mean that's the only time that we became liable in our duties to protect the health and safety of others, and certainly the accessibility. We were liable long before that, and we still are today. The ADA exempts properties that were built or remodeled prior to 1991. And one would think then if we came across a property that was a 1988 that one was outside the spectrum. That is not true. Let's look at some other areas where our duty comes from, in addition to just the duty, which is a matter of public policy, to always make premises safe and secure. One area is certainly county and city and other code. You see, just the ADA is a federal act. Most of the states adopted it as well as a state act. But underneath all of the state jurisdictions that are building jurisdictions, health and safety jurisdictions, there's always been codes that date way, way back into the 1911s, 1913s in most places, that tried to protect public safety by making essential rules, such things as railing heights and step heights, such things as spring-fed doors, structural safety and integrity, so structures don't blow over or fall down, electrical safety and plumbing safety so people don't get electrocuted or get burned with hot water. All of these things have been intact for many, many years. And those standards are there. And in many cases, the building code has adopted the ADA and not so much as the ADA, but local building codes have adopted its principles and said that you will comply with these principles. And they essentially take the codes and the words, they just don't put the ADA label on them, and those become current law. They're law now. That means your premises must comply now. It's not untypical, for instance, to see a city code that says in any public facility in which there's going to be 10 or more foot traffic persons a day, that you will have, and then it'll go on to rail heights, it'll talk about ramps, it'll talk about widths of doors, it'll talk about the use of restrooms and the heights of sinks, the heights of toilets, etc. That's not unusual, and those are the laws today, irrespectively of the ADA. You'll also find many of the larger commercial enclaves, and that means not only office and business centers, but even such things as multifamily housing, have CC&Rs, and those CC&Rs have been around for a long, long time. And those may have health and safety mandates in them, which one has to meet. And so we can see that standards come from public policy, such as the ADA, but many other regulations. We can see that standards can come also from perhaps even just the CC&Rs that apply to the property. Some standards come even under written documents, such things as a landlord putting in a lease that the commercial lessee shall make the property safe and secure for any and all persons who may come upon it. And now it's become a lease duty that has nothing to do with the ADA. And then last, as I have noted, and certainly the catch-all and the fallback is that it's a violation of public policy to have a property that is below the standard of care for health and safety, just per se. And so, and without any regulation, just the very fact that it is below that standard, such as maybe even for a particular type of person. Let's say that young people come upon the property, and yet we have an ADA-approved railing height and the height and fall of the steps and the rise of the steps and the expanse of the steps are all appropriate under the ADA. But it's in an area that children frequent, and children fall between the bars. Children are just not big enough to go up and down those steps. They're just still too large for them, and they are just routinely careless people. So we're going to have to assume they're careless and build something if we're attracting children, such as some place where they play laser tag and it tries to solicit people that are 6 and 8 and 9 years old to come there. Those kind of properties, they're going to have ramps in places where they might otherwise have had steps that were even compliant with ADA. Why? Because for the type of clientele they have, that is the safe thing to do. You can go through all those other codes and find not one code in there that tells them to put that ramp in, other than the very final one, which is the public policy that it must be safe and secure for the type of person that's going to be on that property. And in that case, obviously, since it's children, we're going to have to put a ramp where maybe there was not one rule that said we had to. And I don't mean a ramp only if it was built after 1991. I don't care when it was built when I make that kind of analysis. It's a ramp today for today's use. And you see, there's the key. So I hope this little segue has helped you in thinking about the ADA and how it is only one of the standards of care that we have to look at out there. I was glad to assist your instructor today. If you have any questions, please direct them to him or her. And I do thank for being invited today, and I hope you have a good lecture today and that you'll learn something. Thank you.